Oh, good morning, my Teaser King family. Hope you had a nice Easter. Just a second. So, I was able to watch the Michigan game on YouTube since since they don't want to put it on TV. We're left with watching it on YouTube. I wrote on Twitter. I said, "Who's the idiot responsible for putting this game on TBS instead of CBS?" And I'm sure it cost them millions of viewers because, most people don't have cable anymore. And you're certainly not going to, I don't even know if you can get a TBS on your thing. And then, so you just watch a movie and then when it gets on YouTube, you watch the game that way. Michigan didn't miss any shots. They looked incredible. They look like the Showtime Lakers. They weren't they weren't losing. That was a good Arizona team. I don't believe they were the top five defense, but okay. But the way Michigan shut down all of fucking Bama, and then um, the way they shut down Arizona, and the way they scored on Arizona, you just um, the way they shut down Arizona, you just think it's the way they scored on them, it's just going to be rough for anybody to beat them. I had initially played the over in the game, but I think I'm going to, after watching this, I mean, okay, they couldn't miss. I think the over is a good play. And I think laying 6.5 after watching this Arizona and the way Connecticut was going to lose to Duke. The only thing is Connecticut is used to being there, but Michigan looks like they have 6, 7 scorers. They got two big guys. They got guys from the 3-point shot. A lot of smart plays, these give and goes, and these inside, and the guys slam it home, and they know how to dunk. So I just think that Michigan's going to be too much. I really can't call the score like I do in football. I don't know enough of Michigan, but I think they get into the 90s, and Connecticut I don't know. Are they going to win by 20 again? I mean, they might, but they killed Tennessee, and you killed Arizona, and I can't imagine they don't kill Connecticut. Connecticut we like, good coach, Caravan, but they should have lost to Duke, who's nowhere near Michigan. So I think I take it like that. Kevin, how are you? Good. Well, from Lakeland, Florida, where the Tigers play spring training. How's Florida? How's the weather? Any hurricanes or anything? Well, I hope you're well. How's gas there? Is gas really expensive in Florida? Here it's not too bad. Here it's three. I filled up for 357 a few days ago. I really don't know why gas is going up here because we get it from West Texas. So if West Texas is um, doing, if there's no supply shortage in West Texas, the price shouldn't be going up for us. Now the rest of the world might go up, like Europe, it's gone up a lot, but we're here. And in Europe, they take a lot of subways and they take a lot of trams and buses. You don't really need the car there and drive around. Maybe in Germany because they got BMW and Porsche and Mercedes and everything, so they might drive in cars. But uh, a lot of uh, a lot of the cities there where I've been to, especially Switzerland, you don't even need a car there. Um, Austria, you can get a cab and everything. Um, anyway, so that's what's going on. But welcome, and please feel free, Kevin, to ask questions, comments, whatever you want. Um, so we see gold today. It's at 46.62, silver 72.32. As I put in my topic and my title, again, it's paper. This is derived by strictly the paper price on options and derivatives. This has nothing to do with anybody selling 50 tons of gold or 50 tons of silver. That doesn't control the price, and even that premise makes no sense. So if I sell a Mickey Mantle card for $60,000, why would it make the value of the card go down? I sold, somebody bought, right? So just because you sell 50 tons of gold doesn't mean the price of gold would go down. I thought that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard from that guy on Egon's team. The problem is when these guys start talking, it shows how stupid they are. Well, the price is going down because Turkey sold 50 tons, and you're like, yeah, but why would that make the price go down? Price goes down when there's no demand. If nobody wanted it and Turkey couldn't sell it, then they would have to lower the price. But that isn't the case. I'm sure China probably bought it and Turkey sold their 50 tons. Um, I mean, like I said, we see it all the time with, baseball cards. You sell the Mantle, you sell the Joe Montana rookie. It doesn't lower the value. So I had a thought, I just lost it about that. But that's the thing. The value goes on demand. If you have no demand, the price goes down. Again, only if we're in a physical market. You go to the grocery store and they have the steaks for $20 and nobody wants them. They put them on sale. That's why you see all these sales. Coca-Cola and Oreo, they're all way too expensive and nobody's going to buy them. So they make Coke 2 for $5 instead of $3 a bottle. And people think, oh, okay, I'm getting a deal, 2 for $5. But that's what makes prices go down is no demand. And one thing we have in gold and silver physical is huge demand. So that's what we're looking for with gold and silver. And that's why I keep reminding you, this is the paper price. And that's, we know, is 10 times less because the supply of paper is much stronger. Where there's 200,000 tons of physical gold, there's a million, 2 million tons of paper gold. Supply's higher, prices down. But this is even worse because this isn't even real. These are just options. They're not prices. So they're not physical prices. So that's the key that you've got to realize. And okay, would the physical price be going down because somebody sold? No, it goes down when there's no demand. I can't believe this guy's this stupid and he works for Egon. He's one of the partners or something. He's an idiot. This shows you how bad these like portfolio managers or salesmen are. They don't understand anything. Like Alistair McLeod, he's a banker. He doesn't understand economics. Mark McGuire kind of gets it and Egon gets it. But basically, as long as there's high demand, the price goes up. And when we get to a physical sales never adjusts to paper prices. Paper is just done by the options. That's it. So like I keep saying, we could all buy 10 tons of gold, everybody in the class. It wouldn't move the price because the price doesn't get moved by physical buying and selling, only by options. So if somebody's shorting gold, it's down to 46.61. Why? Because of options. It's not because there's no demand. It's not because of the war. It's these banks trying to get out of their options and or trying to lower the price to buy it because the U.S. needs to buy gold. They have a gold-backed currency. Because if we don't, we're gone because nobody wants our dollar now. Especially with this war, everybody hates it. All right, Kevin. No hurricanes yet. Okay. Hurricane season is June. Oh, okay. Well, you never know. We have rain today through Thursday or Friday. We might have a low pressure by our state. The cold front is stalled out in our state. Okay, well, that's not bad. I know you get really hot in the summer. I've been there once in the summer in like July, and if you golf, you got to golf at like 5 in the morning and watch out for crocodiles. Um, I know your hurricane season is in the fall because I'll see football games September, October that you get pretty bad hurricanes. I always got to watch for those because they will affect the over under on the game. In a high wind hurricane, you always bet it under because they can't score. Anyway, now when you buy gold or silver there, which I assume you do they charge you tax on it? They shouldn't. Well, I don't know. I don't think Florida is a tax state, but like here in Detroit, I don't pay tax. When I go to my gold store, I buy it. There's no tax, and because I'm driving to the store, there's no shipping. So I hope you don't have. I have a person in Vegas who also doesn't pay tax when he buys his gold and silver. California probably charges. If I was in California, I'd drive to Vegas and buy my gold there. My store is 5 miles away, so I go there. So I don't. Do they charge tax in Florida? When I was living in Alabama, in Huntsville, stupidest city I've ever seen. It was terrible. Uh, you couldn't even find a gold store. One guy said, "Well, when people sell me gold, then I can sell it." Ah. So there was no gold store in Alabama, in Huntsville, that I could find. One other guy was buying silver and ripping off old ladies who were selling silver. They were selling their silverware and uh, sterling silver, and he was like cutting them like $5 under spot. And I was like, I'll give you spot for it, like because I know that it was going up. It was probably $25 an ounce at the time. I felt sorry for the lady. Here he's ripping her off on her selling it to him. And then I said, well, I'd like to buy some of those coins. And he said, I'm not selling them. What are you doing here then? I'm just buying. Well, what do you have a store for? Just stand in the parking lot. I'm buying silver. I mean, I don't like people like that. I thought it was terrible. It's a business. Be fair. And then you should be selling. Kevin, gas prices are over $4. Some of us in Florida could get over 3 inches of rain. April is supposed to be our driest month. The rain is messing me up for working. Yeah, that can be troublesome. So I assume you work outside. Gas prices are over $4. Now here they got the 4, and then they did lower. Now ours were 260, 270. And then they went up. Now, like I said, they were 379 at a lot of places, but I got mine at 357. Again, when I drop Alyssa off near her, there's a lot of cheaper gas stations, but it's like a half hour away, and I'm not going to drive a half hour to get cheaper gas because there's gas stations around here. I can do it. I need more avocados today. I'll have to go to the Walmart has them really cheap, but once in a while, my store, Myers, has them on sale because they're getting older, they're getting a little soft, and they can't sell them, so they dump them out. So I'll take a run over there this morning after class and see if they're a dollar. And then I need pita bread and I need some veggies. Um, so I went to the barbecue place on Saturday. Actually, I could have went Sunday. I didn't know they were open till 7. So I went there. The ribs were burnt. It was really disappointing because I was doing it to buy them to eat yesterday because it was Easter, and I was going to eat 1 or 2 ribs. Like you get 6 or 7 ribs and a half a chicken, and I really wasn't that hungry, so I was going to have a little chicken, a rib or two, and some fries, and they're cottage fries, and then have them yesterday. And so I had to take them back twice. They came burnt, and I told my buddy there, my gold guy, and he says, were they top or bottom? I says the tops were burnt. You couldn't eat them. And I'm like, why would you serve burnt ribs? I mean, that was crazy. So I got the first one. I showed the waitress, I'll get you a new one, and those were burnt, and it tasted terrible. I bit into one to just try it, and it wasn't good at all. So she just charged me for that half barbecue chicken. But man, if the rib place is serving burnt ribs, there's a problem. I mean, they can't do that. They fucked up, but I can't imagine anybody eating the burnt ribs just saying, oh yeah, I just paid $30 for a slab of burnt ribs. So you got to be careful what you're serving. But anyway, they were open yesterday. Yesterday was kind of a boring day. Um, there was nothing on TV. I don't think there was. I think it was basketball on last night, but it was. I think the Lakers. But who cares without Luca Brasi? It's not worth watching. And then I hate LeBron. And then it was that. The Tigers lost, so I was happy because these radio guys just piss you off. They're like, "Oh, the Tigers are the best team. They're going to win the World Series every year," and you're like, "What? Oh, the Lions. Oh, they'll definitely be great." So anyway, that's what happened. So yesterday was pretty. I tried to walk, but it was cold out yesterday. I walked like a half mile. I said, "No, it's too cold," and I came back. I did wear my coat, but I did come back. So as far as gas prices are over $4, they should be coming down a little because there's no shortage in West Texas. Now, that's a good point. Kevin brings up $4. That's not inflation. People will think that's inflation. Oh, gas went to $4. That must be inflation. No, it's the supply of oil being short, raising the price. So the price isn't up because the dollar's worth less. The price is up because of supply. And therefore, that's not inflation. And yet, these idiots will say that's inflation. Anytime price increases go up, they go, oh, that's inflation. No, that's a case where the price is going up because of supply shortage is not inflation. When the price goes up and there's no shortage of supply, it's because of that's inflation. So, cornflakes, Raisin Bran goes up. That's inflation because there's no shortage in the cereal, right? With gold going up is because of demand for gold, not because of inflation. All inflation does is make the dollar worth less. That doesn't mean that the price goes up because that, in all cases, most cases it's going up, but you don't know what the price is. So when Coke goes to $3 for a 2-liter bottle, that's inflation because there's no shortage of that. But when gold goes, so prices will go up. Well, the dollar will go down and you'll need more dollars to buy it. But that price is determined by the market. So the $20 steak, and they can't sell it because nobody's going to pay $20 for steak. That's inflation, but then it goes down to $15. They put it on sale for $13. Gold, on the other hand, yes, it's partly the dollar is worth less, so you need more dollars to buy the gold. But how do you determine the price? That's the market. And that's where we're at now. 46.67 is our price. And that's the market dictating that price, not the inflation. So it is the inflation is the problem because people are running into gold. But the fact the dollar dropped, how did you arrive at 46.67? And that's the market saying this is what we'll pay. Now, again, it's the paper market, not the physical. Well, it's like the Titanic. You have lifeboats on the boat, which fine, but you never use them, right? Unless you're sinking. And so the water hitting the iceberg and the water coming in then creates the boat to sink, then creates the demand for lifeboat. That would never have been if they don't hit the iceberg and the water doesn't sink. Then there would be no demand for lifeboats. So you can kind of say, yeah, the water coming in and the boat sinking creates demand for the lifeboat, and that's about it. But here, the dollar sinking is the Titanic, causes demand for gold and silver, but doesn't set the price for gold and silver. That's set by the market. And right now, the market cannot set the price because in our world, in the physical world, the physical market will set the price. And right now, the paper market is setting the price, which is total bullshit. Why you have a paper market and these options is just fucking ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Let the market do its thing, just like you do with steaks and bananas and any other asset or any other, product. You set it, the market sets it. If it's too expensive, the market won't buy it, and you lower your price. If nobody wants it, then it's worth zero. But that's farly from what's happening. Hi, David. Good morning. We don't get that much oil from the Middle East, so why is it so high? Well, it's high. We get nothing from that. We get everything from Texas. So why is it high? It's, again, the bullshit game with the bankers. They're able to get people who don't know what they're doing, and it's all options, which prices oil, just like gold and silver. It's not the market. So when they see this worldwide shortage, they start doing options. There's a panic that, oh my God, supply's down and we got to raise the price. And that oil you're speaking about in the Middle East goes to Japan, China, Korea, Vietnam, and India. Yes, nothing comes here. It's coming out of Texas. There's no shortage of Texas oil. So it doesn't make any sense. I agree. But I think just like gold just a worldwide price. Gold is not, this is US gold, this is London gold, this is Switzerland gold. That's how they used to do it. I was watching Goldfinger yesterday. It's okay movie. I was watching it, and they were saying in the beginning, like Bond asked the question, well, why would you move it around? And he says, well, the price in Pakistan is $100 and the price in the US is $30 or whatever. This is 1963, 64. So at that point, it was before COMEX. Each country would value gold based on their own. It was actually free market. So you could fly to Pakistan and sell your gold there, or fly to Switzerland and sell your gold there at a better price. So I agree. This is part of the paper market bullshit. Anything you're dealing with in COMEX is all fixed by the bankers, by JP Morgan, by what else? Bank of America, Deutsche Bank, the Toronto Dominion Bank. They're all trying to make money. So also Russia and the US benefit from a higher oil price because they're the ones selling. Russia's selling now to China, and they're selling to Japan and India. So they're selling. So they make a lot more money at $4 a gallon or at $120 a barrel than they would at the lower price. So there's a lot of manipulation and bullshit Ponzi scheme going on here. They got to blow up COMEX. It might have been useful in the 60s or the 70s. It's not useful now. It's probably useful when, the real reason was because in the 70s, de Gaulle realized the US was printing money out their ass, and therefore it wasn't equal to the gold. So on the gold standard, you can only print as much money as you have gold, because the theory is I'm going to take $100 and get $100 worth of gold, and every bank should have it. So if I go to Chase, here's $100, I want $100 in gold, and they're supposed to have it. That's how a gold standard works. But the U.S., with the entitlement from LBJ and the war in Vietnam, they had more dollars than they had gold, and France saw it and said, "Fuck it, we want gold for our money." And so that's why they invented COMEX, was to lower the price. So instead of giving us all this money at $850 an ounce, they were able to lower it back down to 35. But that's really what happened in the early 70s. So what they should have done was raise the gold price, right? If you need to print more money, you don't make the gold price 35 an ounce. You make it 3,000-4,000. Just like now, everybody's going, well, what if we have the gold standard now? I said, well, you'd make the price 30,000-40,000 an ounce. You wouldn't make the price 4,000, because you're limited in how much you can print. But if you make it 20,000 an ounce, now you can print a lot more money. And the waitress, we talk gold too. It's a good restaurant. They're smart. And she's crying, "Oh my God, when's it going to go up? I've had it since it was 300 an ounce." And real smart lady. And I says, well, they got to blow up COMEX. When they blow up COMEX, you'll see a better price. But it's already up to their 5,000, or it should be back to 5,000. I said, so just, you got to be patient, but at least, you can get 4,600 for it now. But it says it's COMEX. It's suppressing the price, as it's done since 73. And it's all bullshit. It's all Madoff, probably where Madoff got his whole thing from. Hey, we can fuck everybody over by telling them that. So COMEX is just about on the way out, because when there's so in other words, JP Morgan does a short to lower the price. Well, China comes in and says, I'll do the option. I'll do the put part of I'll do the buying of you. You're selling it and I'm going to buy it. And when I buy it, I don't want the money. I want the gold, and I want delivery of the gold. That's what COMEX is supposed to be. But the reason it's been around so long is because they sit there and they say, well, we'll just play a game between London and US, and nobody asks for physical. Well, if nobody asks for physical, then they can play the game. As soon as you ask for physical, they're fucked, because they don't have it. They have a little bit of physical, but as everybody wants physical gold and silver now, because the Russians and Chinese have made it realistically that the US dollar is worth a Snickers wrapper, Putin said, and I agree with him. And since it's not worth anything, we don't want to hold it. So as we're trading with the US, China would sell us goods and they'd get our money. They were buying treasuries with their money, and now they realize the treasuries are no good. They're never going to pay back a $39 trillion debt. So we're going to sell our treasuries now and buy gold. And Japan did the same thing. Saudi Arabia had it with this petrodollar, and that's gone. That's been gone for a year. I don't know why I'm hearing it like, oh, the petrodollar's dead. Well, yeah, it's been dead for a year. The petrodollar was you had to buy Saudi oil with US dollars. And then last year, China, they agreed, and then China pays them in yuan, as does Japan and other countries are paying them in any currency. Saudi Arabia will take any currency, but then what they're doing is buying gold with it. So where they used to buy treasuries, they're now buying gold, because you fucked up your money. It's not worth anything. Why do I want to hold $1 trillion in US dollars? Only an idiot wants to hold that. No, I want to get it into gold and watch gold go up. So not only am I out of dollars going to zero, I'm in gold and silver going to the moon. So it's win-win all the way around, but I'm out of dollars. So that's what Saudi's doing. They don't want the petrodollar. They don't want US dollars. Nobody wants US dollars. And as I said, when the demand dies, so does the value of it. So if it's Canadian club and nobody wants it, it's worthless. US dollar, nobody wants it, it's worthless. That's what happens. And that's what's happening now. So it's just not worth anything. But most people think it is. Oh, it's got 100 on it. It's worth $100. Go to the grocery store, buy 5 items. There goes your $100. That's the value of the dollar gone. And that's why you need to get into gold and silver. Like I said, you can buy a mantle card, but I'd rather have gold and silver. When you get a lot of gold and silver, then you can buy a mantle card, a Rolex, a Montana rookie. Those will always hold value. Now they'll go to zero in dollars, but people with gold will buy them. Oh, I can buy. You're telling me I can get this nice mantle card with a half ounce of gold? Thank you. It's a real asset. It's very limited and it's highly demanded. Mantle, Montana, so Tom Brady. Those are very highly demanded. Willie Mays, get a Joe DiMaggio card. You're a king if you can find one, because it was during the war. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Ted Williams. You get any of those huge demand cards. So you can't go wrong. There always will be a value for those cards. But that's what a real asset is. And the dollar is not a real asset. They've printed way too much. They keep printing every month. It cannot have a value. You cannot stop it. And inflation is not prices, which they want to, oh, inflation is going to spike with oil. No. Oil, the supply of oil has gone down. The price goes up. Is not inflation. God, it pisses me off. David, do you honestly think gold and silver will skyrocket this year? I'm taking 6,000 for gold and 200 for silver. Oh, at least that. I think it'll be 8,000 for gold and 500 for silver. By the end of the year, once we blow up COMEX, and COMEX is on its last leg. In a free market, gold's 30,000, 40,000, and silver's 5,000 or so. In a free market, like a grocery, if you sold it at a grocery store and there was no COMEX pricing it and you just let it run, it would be there easily, because now again, we're 5 steps ahead of the game. Why are we 5 steps ahead of the game? Because we know what's going to happen. Again, I really like this Titanic analogy. Once you hit the iceberg and the water is coming in, you can't stop it, right? The water is coming in, and there's no way you can stop the water from coming in. So therefore, it's going to flood the boat, and therefore the boat's going to sink, and you got to get to the lifeboats. And it's the same thing with the dollar. The dollar's hit the iceberg. They're printing the shit out of it. It's already 39 trillion in debt. They have to print it every month to pay for the interest on the debt, Social Security payments, all the government employees. It's not a business, right? There's no revenue coming in for the government. It's all expense. And then the defense contractors. So you have those payments every month, which you have nothing coming in to pay for it. And so therefore, you're continually, the water is continually going into the boat, or in this case, you're continually printing the dollars, and you can't stop it. You can't stop the water in on the Titanic. It has to sink. You cannot stop the dollars being printed. It has to sink. There's nothing they can do. You cannot stop it. Inflation is money printing, inflating the supply, making the value of the dollar go down, as you can see at the grocery store, and as we talked on the gas station, $4. That is strictly the money being actually the gas stations, because of the supply. But even then, it was when I was growing up, it was 59 cents a gallon. So part of that is inflation. At $2-3 a gallon is inflation. This latest boom up to $4 is that. And keep in mind, the oil companies make out when the price goes up. Russia makes out when the price goes up. The U.S., they need money to pay the $39 trillion debt. So because they need They need money. They want the higher price. But this is not done by inflation. This latest dollar jump is due to a supply shortage or a perceived supply shortage in the Middle East. But as we're saying in Texas, there's no supply. The supply hasn't been interrupted. There might be a demand issue where we're selling it. Maybe we're selling some to China and Japan and Korea and India. Maybe we're selling our West Texas. That would be an increase in demand, causing the price to go up for West Texas oil, which is what we use. But we have plenty of. There's no shortage of oil. I know out of the Middle East, but there's really Iran still has it, and they're selling it to China and Japan and Korea and India, so they're getting it. Russia's also increased. So again, there's games being played always with the oil companies and the defense contractors and all that. They want the war so they can sell their weapons. Who the fuck's running this country? The defense contractors? How did that happen? Let's go back to the Constitution. Yeah, the defense contractors do the laws. I mean, that's crazy. When did we get off the Constitution? You can't have a central bank and all the money has to be gold. Well, how did we get away from that? It's unbelievable. You're a constitutional limited republic, and somehow we ignore the Constitution. We are not a democracy. We are more of a almost martial law or dictatorship right now, where Trump runs around, doesn't listen to Congress, doesn't ask for votes, just does what he wants with executive orders. Where did that come from? No, you have to vote to go to war. With the Congress has to approve it. Congress has to approve budgets and everything. So we're all fucked because we've ignored the playbook, the Constitution, which they knew at the time. It was from Adam Smith, and they knew at the time you can't have a central bank and you can't have money that isn't gold. They knew that. They watched what happened to the French and the English and the Spanish and Amsterdam with the tulips and the Romans, probably most from the Romans. You took the gold and silver out of the coins, they went bankrupt. Their military was gone because you got to pay the military to fight. And if you can't, they're not stupid. What do you mean there's no gold in my gold coin? Oh, okay. So they're onto that. But yes, well, you can see I buy gold and silver, and again, 6,000. We were at 5,500. Now it's been suppressed because these banks have to get out of their options. Again, it's priced in by COMEX by options, not the physical market. In the physical world we live in, the demand is huge. When Pat comes on, he's from Singapore. He comes on, he says there's like a 6-hour line in the gold. There's a whole gold district in Singapore. He says there's like a 6-hour line to go in and buy the gold and buy the silver, coins, bars, jewelry. And if you ever seen on TV like these gold store like Singapore or New York, or it's just store after store after store, and there's line after line after line. The demand is huge for physical gold, as it should be. Now, the other thing, David, that you really can't stay in dollars anyway, because as I just said, there's you can't stop the printing of dollars. So you couldn't stop the water sinking the Titanic. You can't stop the printing of the dollars. The more dollars you print, the less they're worth. And that's what's happened. Fuck the petrodollar or not. You cannot print this many dollars and have it worth something. Now, we are not on the petrodollar, and they are not buying treasuries. Nobody is buying treasuries. So Colonel McGregor should stick to war and not finance. So no, there is no petro. There hasn't been a petrodollar for a year. And that was everybody had to buy oil with the dollar. So because the water is coming in and you can't stop it, if you hold dollars, you're fucked, because the value of the dollar is going down. Go to the grocery store. What do you mean strawberries are $5 a quart? So because everything's more expensive because the dollar's worth less, that's the inflation. The dollar losing value because it's being printed, and they can't stop it. Raising interest rates doesn't do anything. You're still printing the dollar. You still got to pay the interest on the debt, the Social Security, the government workers, and the defense contractors. So it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. That's a bullshit. That's about prices, the interest rate. Well, we'll raise interest rates. So you're not going to buy things that you use interest, like a car and a house. All that does is slow the economy. And they think, well, if we slow the economy, it'll slow prices because it'll slow demand. Prices will come down. Aha, we've stopped it. No, you haven't done anything. Interest rates are absolutely meaningless for inflation because you haven't stopped printing the money and you can't. So, okay, so let's say you're in money. So if you're in money, David, the dollar is worthless. So you're holding crap. You are holding something worth zero, right? That's why I fold it out. This is about what it's worth, maybe a half a cent now. I don't think it's worth anything, but let's call it a half a cent. I know where it's headed, it won't be worth anything. Oh, how can it go out? We're the reserve currency, we're the dollar, da 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 da. Yeah, that's what the Romans said. The French, the English, Sri Lanka, Greece, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, go on and on and on. And soon it's going to be the euro is worthless, as is the British pound is worthless, as is the ruble, the yuan. The yuan can't be the reserve currency. That's worthless also. However, before it goes out, they are starting to back it by gold, which is their unit, which is gold-backed currency for BRICS. And they will survive this. So that's the only dollar. So if you want to go into gold-backed yuan or gold-backed rubles, then I would say that would be fine. But again, they're not pricing it physically yet. Everything's in COMEX because they want to keep buying it. At the time you can't buy anymore is when COMEX says goodbye, and that's very, very soon. And so these options you can sell a lot and push the price down, which is what happens, which is why I think this price is a joke. I always said it's 10 times more because the supply is 200,000 tons versus 2 million tons. That's 10%. So that's why I give you 10% at least. But I also feel that as people start becoming aware that the Titanic's sinking here or the dollar's sinking, they will run to gold and there'll be a frenzy into gold and silver. And that's when you're going to see the skyrocket. When that happens, I don't know, but it's sooner than later. This will go down. COMEX will go out because the only reason you're in COMEX is to buy physical gold and silver now. So you buy the long in the contract and say, hey, JP Morgan, I want the gold, I want the silver, I want the physical. And it's cheaper. So it's the only place to really get it cheaper. So Russia, India sitting there buying the shit out of it, asking for delivery. And there can't be much gold or silver left. And so when that goes out, COMEX has to go away because it doesn't work anymore. Where's the physical? I want to buy. I don't want to play options. Or they need to stop pricing it in COMEX. Okay, COMEX, you can have your little game over here. China's going to now price it in physical world. And they've got to ignore this COMEX price. You've got to ignore this 4,600 and really price gold and just let the market price it. What will you pay? And as there's shortages of it, they're going to want more, right? $73 for this. There's no fucking way I would take $73. Yeah, it's going to start with a 5 and have 2 zeros after it if you want to buy this. And that's what will start happening. And then everybody's going to sell it at a higher rate in the market. And that's how we get our physical price, just like we get every other price in the market is by supply and demand. It's what people are willing to sell it for. And people are not willing to sell their gold for 4,600, not 7,600. So, I think once it runs, and I don't know why it runs and stops and runs and stops. It's just they're waiting for people to buy. And then, these banks are still short in options. It's just amazing how stupid the banks are, but that's all ending. So honestly, honestly, gold's 10,000 and silver's 2,000. That's what it should be. right? And it's not, well, it's 70, the high was 50. That's all paper. And that's what people don't tell you. The Peter Schiffs and the Andy Scheckmans, they don't differentiate the paper price from the physical price. Me and Egon do, and that's about it. Everybody else is, oh, gold's golden down. Gold's had a bull market and now it's leveled up. No, this isn't a stock. This is a paper option bullshit Ponzi scheme market. This is made off. This is not the real price for gold or silver, especially if you own physical. If you own ETFs or stocks, get the fuck out of them and get into physical. Because at the end of the day, the only thing worth the value is the physical. It's like, I can't sell you this. Well, I don't really have it. I have an option of Canadian Club. And so therefore, well, wait, but I want to have a drink. You need physical for that, right? And not paper. So if you had an option at Canadian Club, it's not going to do you much if you actually need to take a drink. And that's the same thing here. If you're buying the gold and silver as protection, you need physical, not an ETF. It's an absolute Ponzi scheme. And these stocks are priced in dollars, just like your house. Your $500,000 house is worth maybe $100,000. Once the shit hits the fan, good luck finding a buyer for it at 500. You're not going to find a lot of buyers. That's when the market drops. Is the demand drops at 500, goes down to 200. Where you got to find the demand, right? $500,000 house is now about here. So you were selling it at 5, but there's nobody home. You can't sell it. So you got to find where this is, and this is at about 200,000 with higher interest rates. Now, you want to have a mortgage in this. You want to have a 30-year fix because you're going to pay him back with monopoly money. Yeah, $1,000. Yeah, here's $1,000. It's not worth anything. So eventually it'll go to zero, the dollar, and then so will your house. So the point I'm trying to make, David, if you stay in dollars, you're fucked. So you have to get into gold or silver anyway. I wouldn't worry about the 6,200. It'll blow by that very easily. But again, if you're in dollars, they're worthless. So what option do you have? Yes, you can buy Mantle cards, and if you can find Joe DiMaggio cards and Brady cards, yes, you can buy that. You can buy Rolexes, but you have to get out of dollars because they don't have a value. And that's the critical thinking that I do, is that it's printed and it's worthless. And then my problem solving skills take us to gold and silver as real money, as very, very limited and very, very high in demand. So you can't lose in it. I wouldn't worry about 6,200. It'll happen. At what point? It could happen May 1st. It could happen in July. It could happen December. We don't know, but it will happen because the dollar is printed. This war accelerates the dollar because it's $1 billion a day or roughly whatever. They're shooting down $30 billion jets. And that's thanks to the Russians. And all the missiles, they're $10 million for the missiles, or $50 million with $35,000 drones. So basically, we have to spend a lot of money for the war. We got to feed our soldiers and the whole thing, right? So the wars are very expensive. And now we're in Ukraine, which we won't get out of. It's our war. Our generals in Germany are calling the war. And now Iran, a war that we really can pick them, can't we? Russia's killed Ukraine 97-0. We're in that one. And now here we are fighting Iran, which means we're fighting Russia again. Why do we want to keep fighting Russia? So we think that by fighting Russia, they'll go broke. No. We're going broke. They have 20,000 tons of gold. We have zero. Now, the waitress in the barbecue asked me about the Vatican gold. She says, well, we stole that, didn't we? That was like 10,000 tons or something like that. And I said, I'm not so sure. I heard it was fake, that it wasn't, we didn't really steal it or take it. I don't know why the Vatican would give us their gold, but since we don't have the 8,000 tons in Fort Knox, my advice to her was we probably have already sold this to the Chinese and the Russians. Chinese has been buying the gold, so if they bought Fort Knox, they probably, just because we stole the 10,000 tons doesn't mean we were smart enough to keep it. Because again, we don't like gold. We don't understand how powerful it is. Everybody else, Russia, China, Iran, Brazil, everybody else understands the value of gold but us. And I bet even the Japanese and Koreans are buying gold. They want to join BRICS. Well, I think Korea does. So that's the real key is we might have taken it from the Vatican. I know we took Gaddafi's gold and Saddam Hussein's gold, but that isn't the question that we took it. It's what did we do with it? And do we still have it? And I doubt we still have it. Because if we did, then that would be fine. But we probably sold it to China because we don't think it's worth it. And it was very cheap. I mean, they probably got it for 500 an ounce, 700 an ounce, because this was 20 years ago. Vatican gold, I don't know when we supposedly stole it, but I'm like looking for the details, and I don't see anything that says we actually stole the Vatican gold. They're not going to say what we did with it, but if we did steal it, we sold it to the Chinese and the Russians. That's what BRICS is. It's all gold. And Trump's realizing he's fucked, so that's why he keeps going after. Well, Ukraine wasn't a BRICS country, but Russia is. China, Iran's a BRICS country. Venezuela, Cuba's joining. So all these countries that are joining BRICS, the U.S. is trying to fight them. Oh yeah, but we don't have an army, and we're not going to nuke. A nuke doesn't do anything. So that's what's happening, David. I've been trying to place as much money in the silver as I can. I'm up there by 400 ounces in silver family and 2 ounces of gold. Yeah, I would try to, what I did with gold is when I didn't have the full, let's say $3,000 for the ounce, I'd buy quarter ounces and tenth of an ounce. It all counts. Gold's gold. Even if you have a quarter ounce, it's still good to accumulate gold. But yeah, 400 ounces of silver, but you're being crushed at $73 where it should be 200 by now. And then the gold, 2 ounces of gold, I'd like to see you get more than that. If you could get to 20 or so. I know it's a little late in the game where you could have got it at 2,000, 2,500. And again, it's going to go up. So if you can get a few more ounces, that would be great. But yeah, 400 ounces of silver is good. And it's starting to get priced, so you're making money. But that's not even why you bought it. It's protection. It's getting out of the dollar, which is why you bought it. So it's a very simple explanation. You could have 100 grand of cash in the bank or 500 grand in a stock. I got Apple. I got all these shares. I got 500,000. It's worthless because it's in dollars. Bitcoin, it's worthless because it's in dollars. I always have this comments with Luke. He thinks, well, Bitcoin, well, yeah, but it's priced in dollars. It'll go to zero, which he doesn't believe me. It'll go to zero. And then at zero, he says, well, it'll be worth what a Bitcoin's worth. And I go, Bitcoin isn't worth anything. It needs to be valued in dollars to have a value. Gold and silver do not need the dollar. When the dollar goes out, gold and silver go up like 20 times because everybody will then look for money because this is the society that everybody has is I go to work, I get paid. So you got to pay me something. And then I use that to buy goods and services. So there has to be some sort of medium of exchange to go to work and get paid, to use it to go to the grocery store and go get clothes and pay my utilities and pay my mortgage or rent or whatever. So there has to be a new dollar coming out. So that's the thing. So that's why we have gold and silver. You can use that to go to old McDonald's farm and say, here's an ounce of silver, and he'd be like, yeah, go fill up your car with my food, because it'll be worth a fortune. And so as people realize that the dollar's no good, they're gonna be a stampede into gold and silver, but by then the prices will go up, up, up. But that is money. People, what is money? People will accept it, right? I can go to the barbecue and I can pay them in money, and they'll feed me. And that's how it works. That's how a market works. But they won't take Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not accepted. And when the dollar goes out, what's Bitcoin going to be worth? Well, I got, everybody's happy. I got 100 Bitcoins worth 120. Well, now Bitcoin's worth 65,000. You just lost half your value. Why were you in it? Why aren't you selling it? Oh, it's going to go higher. Based on what? Well, you see, I'm really an idiot, and I just listen to what these guys say, and they say it's going to go up, and they can't give me an explanation. So it sounds a lot like Madoff. But when the dollar goes to zero, Bitcoin goes to zero. What then? Bitcoin has no value. It's air. It's not even real. So, and then nobody's going to take it. Yeah, go to the barbecue place with Bitcoin. Yeah, it ain't going to work. You're not getting fed. Gold and silver, you're getting fed very nicely. And so I can also give you the silver, right? I can hand it to you, and you'll take it. You go, oh, it's silver and it's real, and it says 999, and you know, it says 1 ounce 999 fine silver. Okay, it's legitimate. I'll take a magnet to it. It doesn't stick. Okay, I got a real ounce of silver, and that's the whole point of it. People will take that. It's accepted. It's money. And that's the beauty of it. Or Bitcoin, it won't be. But even if the dollar goes out and Bitcoin's worth, what's a Bitcoin worth? What's a Bitcoin worth without the dollar? Or for that matter, the stable coin. Those are both backed by dollars, and the dollar's worthless. So those sound really intelligent. And that's the point. So that's why you hold gold and silver. It never loses value. It can't. There's always going to be huge demand. Since the Romans, it's been about 5,000 years actually where gold has a value, and it's not about to stop now. And as you can see, there's huge demand for it. And that's what you want in your money. What's the most demanded and what's used. You can go to the store and use gold and silver. Not right now, but it's coming. But you're not going to be able to use the dollar at the store. As soon as you start hearing that, now right now they take debit and credit cards, but I go to Kroger's, they won't take paper money, but they will take gold and silver, which I've never understood. Now, if I was running a store like I got with Teaser King, I get in a couple thousand here and there, and what do? I go and buy gold with it. I'll take the money as long as I can go buy gold and silver with it. When I can't, when the money's useless, then I'll have to charge gold and silver. I won't charge Bitcoin, but I'll have to say, well, I need, a 1/10 of an ounce of silver give me a mercury dime for picks or something like that. It's going to get confusing because, well, we need a gold-backed currency. So the waitress goes to me and she says, well, what are we going to do? I'll walk around with gold and silver in our pockets to pay for things. And I said, well, I don't think so. I think what'll happen, what did we do in the 1800s? They had gold and silver dollars, right? Silver certificates, gold certificates. So you didn't need the physical gold, you'd have the certificates. So I don't know what you would do here. I assume it will put it on our credit cards. So I assume what'll happen is we'll use credit cards and we'll pay with gold-backed currency. So the money in the bank will take an ounce of gold and they'll give us whatever, but prices will be very cheap. You'll go for a hamburger, it'll be 30 cents like it was in the 70s, right? Where you go to McDonald's, it was 30, 40 cents for a burger and fry. The whole meal came to $2. Gas was 19 cents. That's where we'll go with the gold backed currency. So everything will get very, what we'll think is cheap. It's not. The $500,000 house is in monopoly money, right? It's 500,000 of this, which is shit, which keeps getting inflated. Well, the real value of the house might be 2 ounces of gold. And that's the point. In priced in gold, it's far more limited, far more desired, and far cheaper. You wouldn't pay 500,000 in gold. Like you wouldn't need gold's, let's say 5,000 an ounce. So you wouldn't need 100 ounces, 10 ounces is 50. You would not need 100 ounces of gold to buy the house. The house in gold is 2 or 3 ounces. The house in dollars is 500,000. And that shows you the difference in that value. So keep that in mind. The gold and silver will be the currency if it wants to or not. Trump can sit there with stablecoin and Bitcoin and all this treasuries and all this shit. The market will not accept it. And if the market doesn't accept it, it will never work. We need a gold-backed currency. We need the BRICS gold-backed one. Why we don't join BRICS? Well, like is Trump really this stupid? I mean, the dollar's gone. Everybody knows it. And he's still like, well, let's go to war over the dollar because because we're going to lose our thing. We don't even have an army anymore. We're getting crushed by Iran. I mean, we don't have an army. We're spending $1 trillion a year on our military budget. What are they producing? Well, they're just taking the money to buy politicians so we can have wars and we'll make some missiles. And sell them for $1 million. And everybody's like, well, yeah, I can buy drones for 25,000. Maybe I'll do that. So anyway, you need gold-backed currency. You need gold because it's limited and you can't print it, right? It comes out of the ground and they refine it. That's it. You can't just, because if it's counterfeit, it will not be 999 1 ounce of gold. It'll be nothing gold, or it'll be maybe 0.20 gold because, well, it's like this junk gold, the junk silver. That's not 999. It's, I think, 0.90, maybe. These old Kennedy halves and Mercury dimes, those are probably 0.90, maybe. So if silver is $100, it's worth 90 because it's 90%. Where this, which is 999, will be worth 100. The quarter will be worth, and then divided by 4. So you need 4 quarters. And I don't even think that gets you to an ounce. That's the other problem. How much of these quarters equal an ounce? I know this equals an ounce because it fucking says 1 ounce. It's very clear this is an ounce. It's very clear this is an ounce, but pull up a Mercury dime or an old quarter and tell me how much silver's in it. You can't. That's why I don't like this junk stuff. And again, there's only barter if there's no money. And I can't imagine there'd be no money. That'll never happen. There'll always be money. I think they'll keep the paper. I think they'll come out with a new paper like the Germans did. They went Reichsmark to Deutschmark. The Deutschmark was still not backed by gold and went out. And in 1932, Hitler, when he took over, was broke, right? So I love it. He fired the finance guy because he told him he was broke. I don't want to hear that. He fires him. I'm beginning to sense a lot of Hitler and Trump. It's very scary. Going to war for no reason and trying to steal oil because we're broke makes no sense. Trying to kill all the BRICS countries because the gold-backed currency. Well, you can fight them all you want. There's still gold is still the answer to defeat the U.S. dollar, and now with all these wars, it costs more money. The dollar is gone, so the dollar is basically gone. But you really don't have an option. You have to get out of the dollar. You can't hold it. It won't have a value because the water keeps coming in. You keep printing it every month. And when you have a war, you print a lot more. And so you can't hold it. So that's your first problem, is to get out of the dollar. And then it's, where do I go? So I hope that answered it for you. Um, Again, it's like she said, the waitress. Well, what are we going to do? Walk in with gold to pay for things? And I think that what'll happen is the debit or credit cards will link to your gold accounts, where you'll. I'm not going to put a lot of gold in the bank. I won't trust them, but I'll put an ounce in so I can buy, as I said, an ounce of gold into the bank. But everything will be real cheap. And when you buy a house, you won't need a mortgage. You'll use an ounce of gold to pay for it. All right. All right. So let's take a look at basketball from yesterday. Well, actually, let's start with baseball then. Fine. I'm on baseball. That's why. So yesterday's baseball. We start off with Boston over 9. Boston loses 8-6, but it was Fenway and they scored. I thought their pitcher, Ranger Suarez, he gave off 4 or 5 runs. So some of these pitchers aren't ready yet. Crockett wasn't, Ranger Suarez wasn't, and things like that. So they're not in peak yet. So they're still going over. So Boston over 9 is a winner. We lost with the Yankees. We played. Where the hell are they? Oh, here they are. They lost 7-6 to the Marlins with Freed on the mound, which I was shocked. He kind of had a bad day. Tells me that the Marlins can hit the ball pretty good if they can hit Freed. So I had the Yankees to win, and they lost. So that's one loser. Then I played the White Sox. They were playing Toronto, and they swept them. But then, see, I'm looking at the series, and Toronto should have won a couple of games. Watched Chicago won, and I took Chicago, and they won. I took the Mets, and they won 5-2 over the 49ers. So I hit the Mets. I played Houston over 10 against Oakland. They've been playing high scoring games, especially in Oakland. Oakland wins 12-10 in 10 innings. So Houston is a loser playing Houston and a winner on the over. Atlanta, I played over, and they play 6-5 in 10 innings. So Atlanta over wins. Detroit over 8 is a push. Detroit lost 5-3. I was happy they lost. So in baseball, I go 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-2, 5-2, 5-2-1. I guess we'll push on that. So a pretty good day in baseball. I mean, I lost with Freed of the Yankees, and I lost with Houston with the terrible pitcher on who did they on Oakland. That pitcher stinks. And again, it was a 12-10 game. Houston's pitcher didn't show up, and it went over. Um, Astros ace Hunter Brown shoulder goes out 15 days. How can this happen? You just had spring training. He should be ready to go. He hurts his shoulder. Verlander's out 15 days with his, I think it's a hip or a shoulder or something like that. He pitched one game. He sucked. He probably's, yeah, I think I'm injured now. I can't go back out there. Verlander's toast. He's 43. He lost 11 in a row last year. This was a bad acquisition, and they need to get rid of Skubal already because he's not going to help you. He'll only go 6. If you get into the playoffs, you can't count on him. So what's the point of keeping him? Maybe there's somebody who actually tries out there I can use. All right, let's go to let's go to basketball, and then we'll come back to today's games. Basketball. We start with Boston minus 9.5 2 units, and they kill them. They kill them, they kill them, they kill them. Boston wins 115-101 over Toronto and win by 14, laying 9.5. Chicago over 240. They play 120-110. Now, they had a lot of guys out, but I can't name any of the starters anyway, unless it's Jordan and Pippen. I don't know who these guys are. So I don't know if the guys sat out were good players or not. But they don't. They normally play a high-scoring game. Was a 230, but the total was 240. Milwaukee under 228 goes over 131-115, a 246. Again, without Antelope playing, you would have thought they would have not scored so much. So Memphis with the weak defense, so we'll keep an eye on them. So Milwaukee under, but it wasn't a bet. The Nets, the Mets, the Jets, the Nets. The Nets over 230 was a winner, 121-115, 236. A battle of no defenses. Brooklyn covered the 3.5, but I didn't care. I took it over. I can't trust these Z teams to win, but they tend to play high-scoring games, even in college. Cleveland, over 239. They play 117-108. And they stay under, so it's a 225. We need a 239. So Chicago and Cleveland got me on the totals, and those are two units. Milwaukee, I didn't play. We hit the Nets, we hit Boston, and so we go 2-2 for the day. And New Orleans, I was proud of this pick. A home dog, 4.5, to Orlando. And they lose 112-108, so they cover the 4.5. I thought they won. Maybe that was another team. So the Magic wins 112-108. They win by 4. That's it. We don't play Charlotte. They win 122-108. They've been red hot, Charlotte. Minnesota, Anthony Davis did not play, so that's it. Oklahoma kills Utah 146-111. Covering the 25. As I told you, I don't want to bet late 25. They win by 35. So what are you going to do with it? They just blew them off the court, and they went over. And the Lakers lost to Dallas, again, without Luca Brasi. Dallas was a home dog. Surprised I didn't bet Dallas. Jesus, how did I miss that? Oh, I did. Okay. I didn't see him. I put him off to the side. Oh, I think I did. Okay, so I played Charlotte minus 2.5. Okay, my mistake. Oh, okay. Things have changed here. I went 3 and I had Oklahoma over 239. I was surprised I didn't play them. And Oklahoma, as I said, put up a 257. So I had them over 239. I had Charlotte minus 2.5. They win by 14. That's a W. Lakers under 234. That one's a loser. They played a 262 game without Luca Brasi. That's surprising. And then San Diego over 228. That's a winner. San Diego 138. Sacramento 109. I hit that one. So I didn't see these fours. I can't believe I didn't play Oklahoma. And I did. So in my bets, Oklahoma wins, Cleveland over loses, the Nets over wins, Chicago over loses, and Boston minus 9.5. So I go 1-1, 2-2, 3-2. Okay, a winning day. So not bad in baseball. That I need a new piece of paper because I'm doing baseball and NBA on the same pad. All right, so we'll do baseball over here. We'll do NBA here. NBA doesn't have much. I think they have one more week. These teams with, no, not even that. Yeah, 78, 79. So there's 3 or 4 games left. Okay. So let's do NBA as long as we're here. And today's 4/6. It's already April 6th. It was just my birthday, March 7th. Now it's April 6th. Unbelievable. I got to start packing up for moving, but I got to the end of the month. But really, the hard part will be the kitchen, because you got all the dishes and stuff. The bathroom's pretty easy, and all my cards are already in boxes. And then there should be a couple other. The fridge, I'll just not eat that week. I got to clean it, and that's about it. So it's really get the dishes boxed away, but I need something to eat with, right? So I have to leave a couple of dishes out for that, but I can pack most of it. My buddy from the club will help me because I need a U-Haul because, like, this table, the couch, the bed, I can't put in my car. So I'll have to do that. So it's just odds and ends. I just need to throw in a box and that'll be it. So I'll get that taken care of soon. I was supposed to get the lease Friday, but I didn't get it. But I did meet with the agent. I do know my apartment, so it's just I'll probably get the lease today or tomorrow. It doesn't matter. She says it's a pretty simple lease. It's pretty standard. And the key is I didn't have 3 times income, but I have precious metals, which offset that, and the Social Security pays 2 months rent. So it'll be nice because I thought about it today. I get my Social Security, and then I'm sitting there going, "Oh, well, this will be fine. I'll get, I paid my credit cards. Now it's just like, oh, I got to pay rent at the end of the month." And I'm like, yeah, but it'll be $350 less than I'm paying here. And you're like, that's when I'll start noticing it. Okay. NBA today, the Knicks at Atlanta, Atlanta -1.5, 227. I like the game over unless half the team's out. It's so ridiculous. You got to check like the injuries just about. Excuse me. Injuries. Nothing on the Knicks in Atlanta. Oh, Duke Reith is out. Oh, yeah, that's a big one. So there's some IR guys, but I don't care about that. All right. First bet's going to be Atlanta over 227. That's going to be 2 units. Detroit goes to Orlando. Now Detroit's clinched. They're laying 2.5, 224. I'm going to take Detroit over 224. They seem to be able to score a lot. Let's go 2 units on it, provided they're not sitting. Well, they got Richie Cunningham sitting out, and they seem to be better without him than with him. Is Dopey Cunningham playing today? I can't imagine why he would be. Detroit Pistons are the best team in the Eastern. That's a bullshit. Why would they play him with a week left and they clinched the 1 seed? Richie Cunningham suffered a collapsed lung. I don't know how the hell he did that in basketball. I don't know. I too much to read. Just get to the fucking point. Is he playing? Yes or no? I don't need a whole description on who he is and how he was on Happy Days and he produced some movies. All right. Philadelphia, San Antonio. I love San Antonio here. Laying 8.5. Let's lay it. 8.5. Go San Antonio. Beat Navy. Cleveland goes to Memphis, and this has got to be an over 234. As we saw yesterday, Memphis with no defense. Cleveland can shoot. Memphis at home should be able to shoot. We'll go. I'm not going to lay 14.5. And Portland goes to Denver. Denver just beat Oklahoma and the wishbone. Denver 7.5, 238.5. Let's go Denver over 238. So the only 2 bets I got is Atlanta over, Detroit over, San Antonio. Yeah, let's play San Antonio. It's only paper money that's worthless. And then Cleveland and Denver. Okay. Denver is an over and Cleveland's an over. That's today's basketball. There's only 5 games. And then they play 82. They played 78. So there's only 4 games left. And then we'll get to the playoffs. We should do really well in the playoffs, just like we're doing well in March Madness without knowing any of the teams. Now, I can't name one player on Michigan, but there we go. Michigan's 6.5 and 145. I'm going to take Michigan minus 6.5, and I'm going to go over 145. I'm going to go 3 units on both. After watching Michigan against Arizona, knowing how good Arizona was, I don't think Connecticut has a chance. Again, they should have lost to Duke. They barely beat Michigan State. And these teams were not, they're not in the same league as Michigan and Arizona, and the way Michigan killed Arizona. David. Thanks for the info. Glad I found you on YouTube. Well, so am I, David. I got to go to work, but I'm subscribed. Okay, well, enjoy your day. And pretty soon, the more gold and silver you can buy, you won't have to work anymore. And it's going to be tough even to find jobs because they're really not getting paid a fair wage. As I said, the dollar's worth a penny, right? So you make 80 grand at your job, you're making $8, really, but you can still use the 80 grand to buy groceries. Like I said, a steak's 20 cents, but they market $20 because in fiat money, it's $20, but the value of the fiat money is 1 cent, a dollar. So it's 20 cents for the New York strip. But when you're working, you're making 80,000, you're making 8,000, or 800, but let's say 8,000. That's all you're making, but it's used to buy it. But once the shit hits the fan, you're not making anything. You're going to have to get reissued in gold back currency, hopefully not stable coin. That'll be worth nothing. Is that what they're going to try to do? Okay, it's stable coin. So you're making 80 grand. You're now making 50 grand. Nothing's changed. You're still getting paid in worthless dollars that aren't backed by gold. They're still worthless. So you should go from 80 grand to 120 grand, not down. So if they try that bullshit, but if you're holding gold and silver, then the value of them will both go to the moon and you'll be able to pretty much retire. This is my retirement. I don't need life insurance. Another thing with life insurance, I would get out of your life insurance. They're going to fuck you over. They're going to, when the dollar collapses, they're going to say, well, you don't have life insurance. It collapsed. Sorry, there's no value on it. And so you're paying into it all these years, your life insurance. It has no value and they won't cover you. So you're going to get fucked. You're going to get fucked in the banks. You're going to get fucked in your stock market. Or you can be in physical gold, which you've got in your own little safe, and you're fine. And that's and it's just going to go up. It has to go up because demand's going to rise and make the price go up. COMEX can only hold it so long. But again, COMEX is just the U.S. China and the rest of the world will want the price of gold to go up. So we're going to get to a free market in gold, and it'll be much, much higher. And so it's the steal of the century right now at 4,600 for gold is a joke. Absolutely a joke. All right. So we're going Michigan, lay the 6.5 and go over 145, 3 units each. I'm very confident after watching it. Now, will Michigan make every shot like they did against Arizona? I think so. The way they blew out Tennessee and now the way they blew out Arizona, I don't want to bet against them. They are on a roll. All right, let's go to Major League Baseball. And Dodgers really from down 5 to complete sweep of Nationals. That's why you bet them. And that Suzuki pitcher obviously is no good because he gave up 10 runs to whoever they played. All right, we open. Oh, yeah, I can't use this because I don't have the pitchers. And that's all I look for is the pitchers. I'm looking at some of these teams. I'm looking at the box scores. And I think St. Louis had 2 hitters and 7 hitting under 200. The Tigers have like 2, 3 hitters and then 6 hitting under 300. What kills me about the Tigers manager is they'll have this guy, I can't think of his name, some lefty hitter, and Carpenter, and he'll go 2 for 2 or one of these guys, and then he pinch hits him with the guy hitting 180 because it's lefty righty. Can none of these batters bat against if he's lefty a lefty, or if he's righty against a righty? Can none of them do that? Is it too hard to do that? I mean, it's insanity. No. He's a lefty. You're not going to be able to hit him. But he sucks. I'm a good hitter. No. Well, you got to have this 150 hitter pinch hit for you because he's right-handed. It's these managers don't even understand the concept what they're doing. They should all get fired. All right, we open with the Cubbies going to Tampa. We got Talon with a 0 ERA. I don't know, against Shane McClanahan with the 4.50 for Tampa. I don't see the Cubs are not. They didn't really blow out Cleveland. Didn't get a lot of hits. They do have Bregman now. The Cubbies batting him second. I'm going to lay away from this game. I don't know. Well, let's see what Italian's up to. The Italian Stallion, Apollo Creed. All right. He's pitched. He lost 2-0 to California, but he gave up 2. He pitched 4 innings. He gave up 2 hits and no runs. They lost 2-0. And he's got a 3.68 last year, 3.27, 4.84. So he's about a 3 ERA Italian against McClanahan. Sounds like the guy on the U.S. Olympic team, right? McClanahan. 116 to 108. Tampa's favored by 1. I'm not going to touch this. Italian looks good. I don't know McClanahan. KC goes to Cleveland. Wakaka for Kansas City. Bibby for Cleveland. Bibby with the 4 ERA. Waka inconsistent. Cleveland's favored 112 and minus 112 and a total of 7. Cleveland doesn't have any hitting. They got 2 hitters and 7 guys who stand there with their bats up their ass going, I'm just up here for a walk. I can't even swing the bat. I couldn't even hit the ball if it came right down the middle. So I'm going to pass on. And probably this should be an under, but I don't like it because there's not enough good players in baseball. There's not enough good pitchers. There's a handful of good pitchers. So we're really fucked. It's like we got to bet over on the bad pitchers and the 3 or 4 good pitchers. Then we bet on, although we lost with Max Fried yesterday. So what do you do? Pitt minus 132, 8.5 is the total. Marquez with a 12 ERA for San Diego and Chandler with the 0 ERA for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I think, is better this year. They seem to have they seem to hit well, beating, what was it, Boston or Baltimore, I think. San Diego, they're East Coast. I'm going to let this go. It's too early, I think, for this. It's too early still, but I can find games if I get good pitching. Cincinnati goes to Miami. Miami minus 130, total of 8. Williamson, 13.5 ERA against Junk, a 4.50. I know Miami hit a lot in New York, so it's interesting. This is a good one here. We're going to go Cincinnati over 8. We'll go 2 units. This one I like. This one is a low total. From what I saw with Miami hitting against the Yankees and Fried, they should have no problem with Fred the Hammer Williamson with his 13.5 ERA. Milwaukee goes to Boston. The Braves against the Braves. The Boston Braves went to Milwaukee to become the Milwaukee Braves. Then they went to Atlanta to be the Atlanta Braves. Milwaukee minus 112, total of 8. Woodruff for Milwaukee, 3.6 ERA against Bello, 11 and a quarter at Boston. I'm going over here. Boston over 8 at Fenway, 2 units. Milwaukee hits really good. They got some hitters on their team. Boston, they should, but they're at home. Woodruff with the 3.60. I'm not afraid that he's going to do much. So I like the over here. St. Louis goes to Washington. Washington played well the last couple of games. St. Louis won 12 and 8. Palante for St. Louis with the 0 ERA against Little for Washington with the 0 ERA. Later on, this would be an underplay. Right now, we're not going to play it. The Dodgers go to Toronto. Ooh, World Series game. Robleski for the Dodgers against my man, Max Scherzer. Let's see what Robleski's about. He pitched one game. They lost 4-2 to Cleveland. 4 innings, he gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. So pretty pathetic. And then Toronto, Scherzer, we know how good he is. I don't know how far in the game he can go. Let's take LA over 9, but I'm not going to bet it. I'm a little afraid of Scherzer, and I'm also Toronto hasn't been hitting since they let Bo Bichette go. So they just have George, whatever, from Houston, and then they got the other big guy, Guerrero Jr. So let's watch this game, but I think it is an over game. But Scherzer could throw no hitter. I mean, he's very good. Baltimore at the White Sox. Baltimore 134, 8.5. Pitcher to be determined. What do they take somebody out of the crowd? I'm playing the White Sox here. And I get 124. I'll go 2 units. White Sox have been playing well. They swept whoever the hell they played. Pretty good team. And Baltimore looks like shit. And the pitchers to be determined, which I don't know what that means as far as how do I bet this? Who's going to pitch? Maybe somebody who's injured to see if he plays against Taylor. I like the White. I'm going to play the White Sox streak until it's not there. Detroit goes to Minnesota to play the Vikings. The Vikings are laying 117 and a 7. Casey Mize, good pitcher, 150 against Joe Ryan with the 5. Detroit's not hitting. All their players are hitting very weak, except for the new guy who went from 460 to 300. So now I'd like to hear the guy on the radio tell me how good this he's the best hitter in the league. To now, well, maybe he's not. I'm hungry. All right, so Casey Mize is a good pitcher. Joe Ryan is a good pitcher. I don't think he really has a 5 ERA. It's less. I wouldn't go under 7. But Detroit doesn't hit. Minnesota can easily win this game. They're 3-6. Detroit's 4-5. A lot of unders. I'm going to pass on this game. Um, I don't think this new guy in Detroit's all that. He'll come back down to reality, start hitting 200 soon. Seattle at Texas. Texas minus 113, 7.5. Jacob DeGrom against Gilbert. All right, we're taking Texas with DeGrom minus 113, and that's 2 units. Seattle's been playing bad. They lost to California 2 or 3 games. Ric Flair lost. Gilbert with a 7-2 against DeGrom. It says 6.75. We know that's not right. So we'll take DeGrom at home, and 113 is cheap for him. Houston goes to Colorado, where every game's a holiday. Houston minus 162, 10.5 total. Bolton against Fenton. Neither of them have an ERA. Colorado 3-6. Houston should, after putting up 100 runs in Oakland, should put up 100 runs. I'm going to go Houston over here. They're hitting over 10.5, 2 units. We know Bolton and Feltner don't really have a 0 ERA. They might have pitched a few innings in the first game. But I'm not, the total is still 10.5. So normally if this was real, I would go under 10.5 with 2 pitchers that have very low ERAs, but I don't see that. Let's double check it. Okay. Bolton pitched against he beat Boston 9-2. And he pitched 3 innings and gave up 1 earned run. So how does he have a 0 ERA? If he gave up 1 earned run in 3 innings, he's got a 9 ERA. So shame on you there. At Cleveland, he only played 1 game with a 13 ERA. Seattle, he played 17 with a 4 ERA. In Pittsburgh, 16 games, 6.33. So this guy's a phony. And let's look at this. Feltner. Played against Toronto. They lost 5-1. He went 3 innings and gave up 1 hit, no earned runs. All right, so he's. Wait, fuck it. I want to see his past years. Okay, Colorado in 25, he has a 4.75 ERA. 24, a 4.49. 23, a 5.825. Yeah, this is a 5 ERA pitcher. Let's make this 3 units. It looks like a 0 ERA is a 9. I don't know why they don't put the 9 in, but neither of these pitchers are good pitchers. So, yeah, let's go over 10.5. 3 units. Atlanta goes to California. California played well in their last series. Atlanta. We got Chris Sale. We know how good he is against Soriano. Atlanta minus 161 with 7.5. We're going to take Atlanta, Chris Sale. We're not going to bet it. Minus 161. I'm not going to bet it, but I do like Atlanta here with Chris Sale. Because California's been playing well, I don't want to fuck with the streak. Philadelphia, the Eagles against the Niners. Where have we seen this before? The Eagles minus 113 and 8. We got Painter, the 180 ERA against Adrian Hauser from Total Recall. Hauser with the 1.8. So they both have 1.8 ERAs supposedly, but the total on the game's 8, so I'm not buying it. Let's go check it out. Painter. One game, he won it. ERA 169. Pitched 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and 1 run. And let's see, this is his first year. Yeah, just this is his first year, so he's a new guy. Okay. And then the Niners, Hauser. He's really Quado or Quaid or whatever his name was. And I know that because I just watched Total Recall. Game log. He lost 7-1 to San Diego. In 6 innings, he gave up 3 runs. Did they change how they do earn run average? Because if there's an error, they don't charge it, but it's not. I mean, you can have an error and still get a run charge. So, anyway, 6 hits, 3 runs. So his ERA is a lot more than 1.69. Tampa, he was a 4.79. The White Sox, he was a 2.10. The Mets, he was 5.84. And a bunch with Milwaukee in the 4s and 5s. So this is a 5 ERA guy. So Hauser's junk. Painter's new. Yeah, let's go over. Philly over 8. I'm not going to bet it. So there's your games. We take Cincinnati over 8, Boston over 8. Both of those are 2 units. The Dodgers over 9. I'm not playing. The White Sox plus 124, 2 units. Texas minus 113, 2 units. Houston over 10.5, 3 units. That's our biggie. Basketball, Atlanta over, Detroit over, and San Antonio minus 8.5. College tonight, Michigan to win the title, laying 6.5 and an over 145, 3 units on both of those. And that be sports. Now, again, what we're looking at is keeping it's your money management. It's important to get your bankroll and know how much you can afford to lose after expenses. All right, gold 46.65. Why is it going down? Because they want to buy it. Basically, they're getting out of options and they want to buy gold cheap. That's all it is. It's not Turkey selling 50 tons, lowering the price. The guy who said that's an idiot. 72.78 silver. How can you make such a stupid comment? Oh my God. Well, the reason the gold price is going down because Turkey sold 50 tons. Okay, so why did it go down? That's not an explanation. That's the sign of an idiot talking on YouTube who doesn't know what he's talking about. Again, he sold it, means somebody bought it. Therefore, the buyer offsets the seller, so therefore it's a zero. That did make the price go down. It's a paper price. Only options make the price. When you short it is why it goes down. That's it. That's the only reason. Period. Only if there's no demand will the price actually go down. So if nobody wanted your gold, which isn't a possibility, would the price go down? Oh my God, this guy from Egon, what an idiot he is. He's like a stock guy, and he is so clueless. It's embarrassing. I wrote the comment, just have Egon do these videos. You don't know what you're talking about. You're too stupid to listen to and talk to. That Matt Pfeifenberger guy. What an idiot. Oh, no, yeah, Turkey sold. That's why the price went down. Well, didn't China buy? So if Turkey sold and China bought, I'm sorry, why did the price go down? Oh, I sold my mantle card. Oh, then the price would have went down. Yeah, you had that mantle card for 80 grand and you sold it. Why would the price go down? The price would be 80 grand, whatever I sold it for. Oh my God. They let anybody do these YouTubes. Anyway, what else can we talk about? Robert, hello. How are you? Nice to have you here. Please feel free to ask questions and comments. So we do sports because I'm really a football handicapper with a master's in corporate finance and Austrian economics. And I'm basically a very strong critical thinker, problem solver, which because I have my master's in economics and finance, I can speak about gold and silver and inflation in the markets. And I forgot my title. Where's my? They show me my title. Let's see what my title is. I just want to make sure I cover all the pieces. There was one other thing I put out there. TK, Michigan, the champ, gold. Michigan, the champ, gold. Yeah, we know that. The wait for the physical price. NBA basketball, Michigan to win, and then the wait for the physical price. So we're pissed off about the price of gold not being the physical price, as David said. I'm thinking it'll be $6,000 gold, 200 silver. And the frustration for David is for all of us is, well, we know it's worth at least that, but yet it shows at 46.60. And it's COMEX that is keeping the price down because it's a paper price with options, not a physical price for gold and silver as you would get at a regular store. Even if you go to the mall and you want to buy this North Face, it is marked $25 and you buy it, and that's the real price of it because they were willing to sell it at 25 and I was willing to buy it at 25. And we don't have that in gold. There's no store where it's $7,000 and we go in and buy it. The gold stores that we go to, the one I go to, it's taking they look at COMEX. COMEX has it for 46.60. I'm adding 200. You can have it for 48.62. And you're like, but that price is so cheap. That isn't the real price. Why they're using the paper COMEX price, the price of physical gold in the gold store is beyond me. I really don't understand why they use it, but they really don't have a price. The problem is there's no mechanism to price it in the physical world that we live in. So if a gold store is selling it, they're going to look at COMEX's paper price. Either they're really stupid and don't understand, or they're really stupid and they don't understand. They should know that price is nowhere near reality, but they don't understand that. So COMEX 46.60, I plus 200 and that's it. I'm 48.60 and you can have it for that. And you just, no tax, no shipping when you go in. It's legit because I know how he is. He's very meticulous at not getting counterfeit or fake gold or silver in to sell it. He doesn't want to sell it unless it's real. And I know I brought in my wedding ring and he checked it out. It was real gold and that was it. And so I got a half ounce for it, which I'd rather have the half ounce of gold than the gold ring. Bad memories. Anyway, so that's the key to it. And we're frustrated in the fact, like the waitress, when's it going to go? You keep telling me 7,000, 10,000. When? And I keep saying, when we kill COMEX. So again, it's the Titanic sinking and everybody coming up to me, well, when's it going to sink? Well, when there's enough water in it to sink it. I can't say in 20 minutes or an hour or whatever. All I can say is it's going to sink. That's for sure. And that's what I'm saying. The gold and silver, they're going to keep printing the dollar and you're going to have to go into gold and silver, not Bitcoin and not stable coin. So that's going to happen. So you have to get out of it. It's going to go up. At what point, we don't know. When does COMEX say bye-bye? We don't know. It should be soon, but we don't know. We can't sit there and go, on June 1st, the COMEX is going to go down. Andy Scheckman keeps doing that, and some other Peter Schiff keeps doing that bullshit. Tomorrow, this is going to happen. And of course it doesn't, because you don't know when. The banks are running, they're losing their ass, the banks. So they're doing the shorts to get the price down to get out of options, because since it's a paper game, that's what they're doing. And then also by keeping the price down, they can buy it cheap. Because again, all the dealers are selling it at this ridiculously low COMEX price. So once the gold is gone from COMEX and the silver, and it's gone, then we get to the physical market that China and Russia and there's one in Singapore, there's one in I think Hong Kong, there's one in Dubai and Saudi Arabia, I think, where they'll actually have physical, and you need to bring in a bar, and they'll set the price for it, and so that'll be determined by, well, I'm going to market 5,000. I'm not going. Well, really, what will happen is like I'm not going to sell this for 78.3 as I showed you. I'm not selling it for 73. I'm selling it for 500. If you want it, 500. And as the dollar becomes worth less and less, it's going to be worth. No, it's 1,000 now for this ounce of silver. And that's what'll happen once we get to a physical market where it's like eBay, it's bid and sold, and let's have an auction and see what it goes for. Right now, the auctions are fixed to COMEX again, where people will sell their gold at 4,800 because it's priced 4,600 because they're using COMEX price, which is nowhere near reality. They do these show. Why do you think gold goes down today? I mean, you know. I mean, explain this drop. Why at 10 o'clock did it go from 46.98 down to 46.50? It dropped 40 fucking dollars. Why? Why here did it at 2 o'clock in the morning drop $15 from 75 to 52, where that's $23. And then why at 4 o'clock did it go all the way up to 47 at 5:30, and then at 6 o'clock drop all the way back to, what's going on here? These are options. Nobody's selling gold cheap. We're buying it. It's a buyer's market right now because of COMEX. So what's really happening is COMEX is pushing the price down, A, to get out of options, and B, to buy, not to sell. So if you're buying, it's a beautiful opportunity. If you're selling, it's not, because it's really worth more. So if I were to go buy 10 ounces of silver and pay 73 an ounce, I'd be dancing out the store because that's 730 for, it should be 730 for 1 ounce. So it's a great time to buy because it's held down by suppression, by options, and by we need to buy it. But on the other hand, when you want to sell it, it's too cheap. So right now it's a buyer's market. You'll never see a bargain this good in your life. But anyway, that's where we're frustrated. We're going, wait a minute, Howard, it's $1,000 an ounce, but it says 73. It's not free market. It's a suppressed paper price. And again, there's 10 times more paper than there is actual physical gold and silver. And that's why the price is too cheap, because they're doing all these options, and the banks are making money, but again, they're making monopoly money. So when JP Morgan does his little bullshit with his options and he's making this, it's really not worth anything. He wants to be in gold and silver. Now he has a lot of silver, but he has a lot of silver because he's got to pay his options out. So he's got the silver to pay the options, because when China says, I want to take delivery, he's got to pay them. So again, that's where our frustration is why isn't it the real price? Why is this COMEX even there? We don't need a futures market in it. Just give me the fucking price that it should be. And it should be 10,000 an ounce to 15,000 an ounce at this point. With all these wars going on, it should be 20,000 an ounce, because wars are expensive and you got to get into a safe haven. You can't hold dollars. They're not worth anything. Add the war to it. It's just, they're not worth anything. The Ukraine dollar, it's not worth, I mean, this war, the British, all these countries that are involved in the war, the whole West, they're all broke. They're all printing money to pay for the war. They don't have it. It's not worth anything. You can't just print money like it's nothing. It's not a problem. But they're all Keynesians, and the Keynesian says you can just keep printing money, and they don't understand it'll lose value. It's sort of like the analytics of going for it on 4th and 2 and saying, well, 51% of the time you make it. They don't tell you against which teams, and they don't tell you if you don't make it, you lose the game. As John Madden's so vehemently, I can't think of the word, so nicely explained. Well, I got the ball at the 10-yard line, a minute to go. I'm down 3 points. If I don't make the first down, we lose the game. I got to kick it. And that's the point. You got to think these 4th and 2s, if I don't make it, I lose the game. It's not just go for it and, oh, well, that's the same thing with the dollar. You keep printing it, it's worth nothing. You can't keep printing it. It loses its value, which they don't understand. They just think, well, just keep printing it. We'll just keep printing it. And here's bricks. Oh, we'll buy gold. We'll buy gold. We'll buy gold. And since the U.S. is keeping the price low, wherever China and Russia can buy gold, they're buying it. Putin's got this real neat gold train. He's got it's solid gold inside these cars on the train, and then he's got a house with a lot of gold. So he's no dummy, Putin, but he understands gold. He understands the dollar's worth a Snickers wrapper. So that's what you're noticing there. So anyway, just be patient with COMEX and the price. We know what's happening. We know it's worth a lot more, but they want to keep you in stocks and real estate trust, and because that's where the banks make their money, is on the commission and stealing from you. And so they're going to keep you. No, stay in stocks, stay in your 401k, stay in a real estate trust if you want to do that, stay in the annuities and life insurance, all the paper items that are worthless that they make money off of you on. And oh, well, we don't make any money off of you in gold. I have this silver. I bought it. The banks don't make any money on me because it's mine. It's my precious. I got it in my possession, not in a bank earning interest that they use to make loans, or in the stock market where they get me on the commissions, or an ETF where they get me on management fees, or a mutual fund where they kill me on management fees. So all these things that they can make money on you, they can't if you're in gold and silver. That's why they don't want you in it. No tax. Look at your tax return. Did it say gold and silver? No, it said interest income from the bank. So you know how you put 50 grand in the bank and you earn 2% or 3% on it, and then you got to pay interest on it. Well, in gold, I don't pay any interest. It doesn't give interest or dividends, except for the value went from $25 to $75. That's where we don't need interest. We'll just make money on it. And so it's been suppressed for 50 years, and it's finally, we can thank BRICS, Russia, China, finally come on and said, hey, forget it. We're buying gold, and and the price is going to the moon. And that's why the demand is pushing the price up of physical gold and silver. And COMEX is sitting there, they don't know what to do, and the dollar's going out. But interest rates don't affect the inflation. That's just the old wives' tale. That's Humpty and Dumpty. And these fairy tales you hear, Humpty Dumpty and all those aren't real. Those are very real in the sense that the meaning is changed. They're very violent. They're the kings and queens in the 1700s in England and Germany and everything. And there was a Humpty Dumpty, but they weren't eggs. And there was a Snow White, and but the whole meaning changed. Like Hansel and Gretel was actually real, but because they was so poor, the families threw the kids out because they couldn't feed them. So Hansel and Gretel are not. It's not like they got lost; they were shoved out, and the Wicked Witch was the mother, trying to burn them and do that to eat them because they were hungry. So that's where money is. When you don't have good money, then we're all going to turn into Hansel and Gretel and look to run from the witch, because that was a real, not a fairy tale. That was a real. And that's the way it was in Europe in the 1700s. All of them. Rumpelstiltskin, the gingerbread man, all of them are real, and they're not anywhere like they come across. But anyway, so just keep focusing. We know the Titanic's sinking. We're in the lifeboat. Now you can ask, when's the boat going to sink? But you can't ask, will the boat sink? The boat is sinking. When is the hard part? The dollar is gone. The money keeps being printed every month. Now you got the wars printing even more money. The dollar's gone. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. Interest rates won't stop it. Nothing can stop it. And the winner will be George Soros, as he's shorted the dollar like he shorted the British pound. So he's loving what's going on. And Trump's like an idiot. Trump has no business background at all. You think he does because he builds houses, or builds buildings, but he has no idea. So that's the real winner, will be George Soros, which is going to put the world in a big communist prison if he gets his way. So again, there's nothing that can stop the dollar from collapsing. That's the first point you have to understand. Once you understand that, then the problem solving is, well, what do I put it in? And the answer is gold and silver. And that's the only answer. A Mano card, but basically you want to be in gold and silver. Then if you really have extra, buy a Rolex, buy a Mano card, a Brady card. You can find a Joe DiMaggio, any of the Yankees superstars. You'll be fine. And that's the key to it. But that's what's happening. So when COMEX blows up soon, we will have, and I know I've been posting on my titles, COMEX is done. COMEX is done. But again, it's the patient going to the hospital and he's got cancer and he's going to die. And he lasts, 2 months. Wait a minute, I thought he was dead. Well, he's dying. Well, COMEX is dying. It just, the patient is not dead yet, but it's dying. And that's all you got to know. So sooner than later, the gold price will finally start to move. You've got these wars. You've got the U.S. knowing the dollar's worthless, creating all these wars to steal the oil from Iran, Russia, Venezuela. They're trying to steal all this oil, and that's basically what's happening. So I think with Venezuela, like Mobil and Exxon probably went there and said, because Venezuela can't get the oil out. It's a real thick oil that it takes a lot to refine. And so they probably said, look, we'll refine it for you and we'll give you half of it or whatever. And so that's what they allowed it, because Venezuela can't really refine their oil. So they got all the oil, but it's worthless. So I think that's what we're doing there. But again, we're down 39 trillion. We need money. You can't default on this. I think Trump's trying to push the dollar to zero, and he thinks, aha, we don't owe the 39 trillion anymore, even though our dollar is worthless. But when the new dollar comes out, you will still owe the Russians and the Chinese and Saudi Arabia, whoever else is stupid enough to have your treasuries, you'll still have that. And I think what's happening, petrodollar and this whole trade thing, they don't want the dollars. They take the dollars and they go buy gold with it. And so Saudi Arabia is not stupid. They're not going to buy our treasuries. They're buying gold. And that's why you keep hearing nobody's buying our treasuries and we're basically fucked. But we still keep printing worthless dollars. And it makes the value, like I said, it's zero, basically 1% maybe. So understand those concepts and that thesis, and then you just run and buy gold and silver and you just hold on to it. And you're not going to lose. You're going to lose in the dollar, in the bank, in the stock market, in Bitcoin. You're going to lose. There is no if, and, or but. The only way you win is in gold and silver, because it can't be printed and it can't be inflated, which is the same thing I just said. And it's COMEX will blow up, and then you'll get to a real price, much, much higher than it is. So that's where we're at with it. So hope that helped you. So again, Michigan tonight, big in a total and a high number. And we gave you baseball and basketball. So have a good day, everybody. It's, let's see, 2 hours. Okay. I like going about 2 hours because I cover so many different subjects. But that's what we have. So www.teaserking.com. You can get my email. If you want to email me with questions, please do. I sell football picks primarily. I don't really sell basketball. I'll give you the picks here. Baseball, once we get rolling, if I can really figure it out, I will sell those picks very cheaply. But I want to make sure that football is my bread and butter since the 70s. So baseball is always difficult, and with these 5 innings and everything else. So I really don't want to sell it if I'm not going to be good enough at it to make you money. If I can't make you money, I'm not selling baseball picks. I'll just give them to you here. If I can really figure it out, but the problem is 5 inning pitching and the lefty righty crap, it makes it extremely difficult. These managers are the worst I've ever seen in all the sports. Football, they're terrible. You got Sean Payton, you got Sean McVay. Okay, there's a couple. And basketball, they're horrible. And baseball, they're terrible. I don't know any good Tony La Russas or Billy Martin or anything like that. I was watching this old World Series, and Billy Martin was the third base coach. I think it was the late '60s. It was good. I think it was Baltimore or Minnesota or one of those teams. All right. Well, have a good day then. Go enjoy. And I am going to have some lunch, and I can get back to the pool. I couldn't go yesterday; they were closed, and I need some groceries. All right. Well, have a good day, everybody. Again, feel free to ask questions and comments. That's why I do it. Like, I appreciate David saying, do I really think it's going to be 6,200? And yes, I really do. And I think that's very low. I think it'll be 10,500 very soon. That's what it should be. Holy crap. All that. Hi, all that. UConn 78-77. How are they going to stop Michigan? I mean, Arizona's got a better team. Now, I do like Connecticut, and I did have them against Illinois. I thought that was the easy one. But how are they going to stay in the game? I mean, they can't defend this Michigan team with two big men. The guards hit 3-point shots. They have good plays, good defense. I mean, this is Arizona they beat. So I don't know. Connecticut, the problem is they should have lost to Duke. If Duke had an intelligent coach, I would have ran the 10 seconds off, and I would have not passed the ball, and I would have won the game. So I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Just throwing that in there at the last second. Oh, that's fine. I mean, I don't mind it. Normally I'd be very, able, but after analyzing the game, and I just watched Michigan, Connecticut. There's like a 10-minute one on YouTube. There's no way Connecticut. Again, Connecticut barely beat Duke and Michigan State, and Illinois wasn't very good, so that was not a surprise. But Michigan beat Arizona, and they killed them, and they killed Tennessee. And I just think they're not going to lose this game. I called the Duke game exactly. There you go. Yeah, I had Connecticut beating Duke, and again. I do like their coach. I do like the way they play. It's a good team. I just think they're overmatched. I think Michigan just got. I don't know any of the players on Michigan, but they got some good players, and I just think it's going to be too much for them. I think Arizona is better than Connecticut. But I do like Connecticut in this situation. I mean, they're been to the title game 3 out of 4 years, and they're winners. They know how to win. The coach is great, but I think they're in over their head here. This is like an NBA All-Star game with Michigan here, so they look really good. But well, that's good. Well, I mean, I already bet. I'm laying 6.5, and I'm over 145. So I definitely see the over 145 hitting. Because Michigan's going to score. I don't care what. UConn is not going to stop Michigan from getting in the 90s. And I just think Michigan, the way they've been blowing out teams, I'm in the streaks, and I'm not betting against that team right now. Yeah, the over. I think the over is the best bet of the bunch. That's what I initially did, but after watching the Arizona game, I go, "There's 6.5's a joke." I'm surprised that should be like an 11-point favorite. That's a very small one. Well, it's like me betting the White Sox today. They swept whoever at Toronto, I think, and they're playing today. I'm taking Chicago till they lose. They're on the streak. That's betting. And I'll leave you with this. So I was watching Stewie Younger, poker player on YouTube, and he won his third title. And Gabe Kaplan's interviewing him. And Gabe Kaplan was a very good poker player, and he was going, what did you think? And he says, I waited for my streak. And I got all tingly, like, oh, I think like Stu Unger. Oh my God. So he's sitting there going, I'm just folding and folding. And then when I finally got my streak is when I won the tournament, right? And he started hitting aces and ace queen. He's hitting the queens, and he just, was winning. And again, he said, I waited for my streak. And that's what we do. We wait for the streak. You're always going to get the streak. You're going to get a bad streak and a good streak, and you try to lose as little as possible on your bad streaks, and you wait for your hot streak, and then you clean up. And that's how I gamble, and that's how I do everything, is just wait for the streak. All right. So have a good day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll see. Michigan 90 and Connecticut 80. How about that? 90 to 80 Michigan. I think they will win big. Well, you're welcome, all that. John C., hello. I am just about to leave. Any other questions, comments before I leave? Anyway, gold and silver, don't worry. COMEX will blow up, and you'll retire on the gold and silver. And if you don't have it, you're going to be in the soup kitchen. So just buy it. Buy what you can. I was hoping you'd bought it when it was 1,700 when I was trying to teach you in 2021, but still buy it. It's still cheap. It's under $5,000. It'll go to 10 grand. Yes, a little more. If you can't really afford the ounce, buy the quarter ounce or the 1/10 of an ounce. Just own gold. You can't lose with it. Connecticut 35-footer at the buzzer at the first half. All right. Have a good day, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And go gold, go silver. Gold 46.60, silver 72.61. And it's paper. It's a joke. It's not the physical price. And they're just trying to keep it down to buy it. That shows you all you need to know. They're keeping the price down so they can buy it because they know it's cheap and they know the dollar is gone. So keep that fundamental. And all the dollars are gone. The pounds, the yen, the euro, the yuan, the ruble, they're all, anything not backed by gold is worthless. African money, look at the Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina, they're all worthless. So just remember that. And inflation is not prices, it's money printing. Don't forget that, because they'll say, oh, the price, inflation is 2%. Yeah, these guys are on drugs saying it's 2%. It ain't 2%. A house was 4,500, is now 45,000. That's a little bit more than 2%. All right. I will talk to you tomorrow. All right. Good luck, everybody. 200% at least. All right. www.teaserking.com.